What's going on, Dub Nation? Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, your ultimate destination for all the breaking news, insider information, and expert analysis on our Golden State Warriors. Today, I've got something absolutely massive to share with you, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this could be one of the most significant developments we've seen in recent Warriors. The front office has been making moves, conversations have been happening behind closed doors, and what I'm about to reveal is going to shock every single Warriors fan watching this video right now. Make sure you stay until the very end, because this story has layers that go deeper than anyone initially realized. The energy around Chase Center has been electric this season, and there's been this palpable sense that something big was brewing within the organization. We've all been watching the Warriors navigate through what's been a transitional period, trying to balance championship aspirations with the reality of an aging core and the development of younger talent. The dynasty years gave us 4 champions, created memories that will last forever, and established a culture of excellence that continues to define this franchise. But with success comes difficult decisions, and the Warriors' leadership has never been afraid to make the tough calls when they believe it's in the best interest of the team's future. Over the past few weeks, there have been whispers, subtle hints, and behind-the-scenes conversation that suggested something significant was on the horizon. Those of us who have been following this team closely could sense that the dynamics were shifting, that relationships were being evaluated, and that the front office was seriously considering moves that would have seemed unthinkable just a couple of years ago. The NBA is a business, and sometimes business decisions have to supersede emotional attachment, no matter how deep those connections run. Let me take you back to a recent game against the New Orleans Pelicans, because what happened that night set off a chain of events that nobody could have predicted. It was a game where the Warriors came away with a victory, which should have been cause for celebration and positivity throughout the organization. But something happened during that game, an incident involving one of our core players and a fan in the stands that became a flashpoint for larger conversations about professionalism, representation, and the direction of this franchise. The player at the center of this is someone who has been absolutely fundamental to everything the Warriors have accomplished over the past decade. We're talking about a player who has been the defensive anchor, the emotional leader, the heart and soul of this team through multiple championship runs. His impact on winning basketball cannot be overstated. His basketball IQ is off the charts, and his ability to do all the little things that don't show up in the box score has been crucial to the Warriors' success. But with all of that said, there have been recurring situations, recurring controversies, and recurring moments where his actions have created distraction and put the organization in difficult positions. During the game against New Orleans, this player had an interaction with a fan that escalated beyond what anyone would consider acceptable. The fan, according to reports, was making comments comparing the player to Angel Reese, a WNBA player, noting his lack of shot attempts despite collecting multiple rebounds. Now, the player initially took this as a joke, but as the comments continued and the fan kept referring to him in ways he found disrespectful, the situation intensified. The player confronted the fan, got closer to where the fan was sitting, and engaged in a verbal exchange that could have escalated further if cooler heads hadn't prevailed. After the game, the player addressed the media about the incident, explaining his perspective and trying to manage the narrative. He stated that the fan kept calling him a woman, that it was funny at first but became tiresome, and that when he approached the fan directly, the comments stopped. The player tried to frame it as him standing up for himself against disrespectful behavior. But here's the problem. This isn't an isolated incident. This is part of a pattern of behavior that has followed this player throughout his career. And the Warriors front office has apparently reached a breaking point. What I'm hearing from sources close to the organization is that this latest incident was the final straw in a series of situations that have made the Warriors' leadership question whether continuing with this player is in the best interest of the team's future. We're talking about a player who has been suspended multiple times, who has been involved in physical altercations on the court, who has generated negative headlines that have overshadowed team accomplishment, and who, despite his immense value as a player, has become a liability in ways that extend beyond basketball. The player I'm talking about, the one at the center of all of this, is Draymond Green. And the bombshell news I'm sharing with you today is that the Warriors organization is seriously exploring options to move on from Draymond, potentially through a trade, or by mutually agreeing to part ways. This is absolutely seismic news for Warriors fans, and I know many of you are probably feeling a range of emotions right now. Shock, disbelief, sadness, maybe even anger. But let me walk you through why this is happening, and why, as painful as it might be, this could actually be the right move for the franchise moving forward. Draymond Green is 35 years old and in the twilight of his career. While his defensive instincts and basketball IQ remain elite, his physical tools have diminished, his offensive limitations have become more pronounced, and his value on the court doesn't offset the constant drama and distraction he creates. The Warriors have been incredibly patient with Draymond over the years, supporting him through controversy, defending him publicly, and recognizing his contributions to the championship culture. But there comes a point where an organization has to prioritize its future over its past, and the Warriors appear to have reached that point. Let's talk about the basketball side of this decision, because it's not just about the off-court incidents. Draymond's offensive game has regressed significantly over the past few seasons. He's averaging career lows in scoring, his three-point shooting has been abysmal, and opposing defenses have learned they can essentially ignore him on the offensive end without consequence. While he still contributes as a playmaker and his defensive versatility remains valuable, the Warriors need more offensive firepower to compete with the elite teams in the Western Conference. The emergence of younger players like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and Brandon Podziemski has given the Warriors hope that they can build a sustainable future beyond the Steph Curry era. These young players need minutes, they need opportunities to develop, and they need to be in situations where they're not walking on eggshells around a volatile veteran presence. Moving on from Draymond would signal to these young players that the organization is committed to their development and willing to make tough decisions to create the best possible environment for growth. From a financial perspective, Draymond is earning over $27 million this money that could be reallocated toward younger talent or used to pursue players who better fit the Warriors' current needs. The NBA salary cap is unforgiving, and every dollar matters when you're trying to construct a championship-caliber roster. The Warriors have already committed massive money to Steph Curry. They've invested in other key pieces, and they need flexibility to continue improving the roster around their franchise player. The incident with the fan in New Orleans, while not the sole reason for this decision, exemplifies the ongoing issues that have made the Warriors front office question Draymond's future with the team. In today's NBA, where player conduct and public image matter more than ever, teams cannot afford to have players who consistently generate negative headlines and create PR nightmares. The Warriors are one of the most valuable franchises in professional sports. They have a brand to protect, and they need players who represent the organization with professionalism and class. What makes this situation even more complex is Draymond's podcast, where he regularly shares his unfiltered opinions on various topics. While having a platform to express himself is certainly his right, it creates situations where his comments can become distractions or create tension within the organization. The Warriors need players who are fully focused on basketball, on winning games, on being great teammates. When a player's outside interests and media commitments start to overshadow his on-court contribution, that's a problem that needs to be addressed. Now, I want to be absolutely clear about something. Draymond Green's contributions to Warriors basketball cannot and should not be erased or diminished. He was instrumental in building this dynasty. He was the defensive backbone of championship teams, and he brought an edge and competitiveness that was crucial to the Warriors' identity. His basketball IQ, his ability to quarterback the defense, his willingness to do the dirty work, these are qualities that helped define an era of Warriors basketball that will never be forgotten. But acknowledging someone's past contributions doesn't mean you ignore present realities or avoid making necessary decisions for the future. The Warriors organization, led by Joe Lacob, Bob Myers' successor, Mike Dunleavy Jr., and head coach Steve Kerr, has always been forward-thinking and willing to make bold moves. They traded Monta Ellis for Andrew Bogut when everyone thought they were crazy. They signed Kevin Durant when the opportunity presented it. They've consistently shown they're not afraid to make decisions that might be unpopular in the short term if they believe it's right for the long term. This potential move with Draymond fits that pattern of organizational courage and strategic thinking. From a trade perspective, finding a partner willing to take on Draymond's contract and deal with his baggage won't be easy. Teams around the league are well aware of his limitations, his history, and they're going to be cautious about bringing him into their organization. However, there are teams in rebuilding mode who might be interested in acquiring a veteran presence who can mentor young players and bring champion experience. There are also teams who might value his defensive versatility and playmaking ability enough to overlook the concerns about his behavior and offensive limitations. The Warriors could also explore the possibility of a contract buyout, where they and Draymond mutually agree to part ways, allowing him to sign with a contending team while giving the Warriors financial relief and roster flexibility. This would be the most amicable way to end the relationship, allowing both sides to move forward without burning bridges or creating unnecessary animosity. Draymond could potentially join a team like the Lakers or another contender looking for veteran help, while the Warriors could focus on building around Steph and their young core. What excites me most about this potential transition is what it means for the future of Warriors basketball. Imagine a roster where Jonathan Kuminga gets 35 minutes a night and the green light to be aggressive, offensive. Imagine Moses Moody developing into a reliable 3-and-D wing who can space the floor and defend multiple positions. Imagine Brandon Podziemski continuing to grow as a playmaker and secondary ball handler alongside Steph. These are the players who represent the Warriors' future, and giving them the opportunity to flourish should be the organization's top priority. Steph Curry is still playing at an MVP level at 36 years old, and the Warriors owe it to surround him with the best possible talent to compete for championship. That means being honest about which players are helping that cause and which players are hindering. As much as Steph and Draymond have accomplished together, as close as their relationship has been, Steph would understand if the organization decided this was the right basketball move. Steph is a competitor who wants to win above all else, and he'd embrace whatever changes give the Warriors the best chance to compete. The coaching staff would also benefit from this transition because it would eliminate a lot of the management and babysitting that comes with having Draymond on the roster. Steve Kerr has spent countless hours dealing with Draymond-related situations, defending him publicly, managing his emotions, and trying to keep him focused and productive. That's energy and attention that could be better spent on game planning, player development, and building a cohesive team culture. A roster without Draymond would be easier to manage, less volatile, and potentially more harmonious. Looking at the Western Conference landscape, the Warriors need to make moves to keep pace with teams like the Denver Nuggets, Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Lakers, and Sacramento Kings. These teams have gotten better, they've added talent, and they're all competing for the same playoff spots and championship aspirations. The Warriors cannot afford to stand pat and hope that their aging core can somehow recapture the magic of years past. They need to be proactive, aggressive, and willing to make difficult decisions to remain competitive. The fan incident in New Orleans, while seemingly minor on the surface, represents a larger issue about how Draymond interacts with the world around him. Professional athletes are held to high standards of conduct, and engaging with fans in confrontational ways, regardless of what was said, is never a good look. The Warriors need players who can ignore distractions, stay focused on the game, and represent the organization with dignity. When a player repeatedly finds himself in situations that generate negative attention, it's fair to question whether he's the right fit moving forward. What I'm most optimistic about is the Warriors' ability to adapt and evolve. This organization has shown time and again that they can navigate transitions successfully, that they can make tough decisions and come out stronger on the other side. Moving on from Draymond would be painful. It would mark the end of an era, but it would also open up new possibilities and allow the Warriors to write the next chapter of their story. Change is inevitable in professional sports, and the teams that embrace change and resist it are the ones that success over decades rather than just. So, Dub Nation, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about the Warriors potentially moving on from Draymond Green? Do you think this is the right decision for the franchise? Or do you believe his contributions still outweigh the negatives? What kind of return would you expect in a trade? And which teams do you think might be? How do you see the Warriors' rotation and identity changing without Draymond? Drop all your thoughts, opinions, and reactions in the comments below, because I want to know what every member of Dub Nation is thinking about this monumental potential shift. If you want to stay completely dialed in on every development with this situation, every update on potential trades, and all the breaking Warriors news as it happens, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm bringing you daily content, insider information, and the kind of detailed analysis you won't find anywhere else. This is Warriors News Fan Report, your home for everything Golden State Warriors.